Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Evening here in Latin America. For many of you around the world, maybe good afternoon, good morning, good evening. My name is Christina Hutchinson. I run the Latin American business for the enterprise at Payoneer. I'm very excited to join this panel with leading marketplaces in Latin America, with senior executives with a diverse background that will give us a chance to speak today around the Latin America e-commerce booming market. Today, during the day, we heard a lot of different sessions around how the world is digitalizing, accelerating the impacts from COVID and the shifting to digital. But what we want to discuss here, it's a little bit different than what we've seen in other sessions around what makes Latin America so unique. We've seen, I'm a good example of the changes this year. I suddenly became a consumer and I bought at Mercado Libre, I bought at B2W, I bought at eBay, so I helped this e-commerce space grow. I'm one of those 30 million new consumers that just in 1 month start using online platforms in Latin America, because I was one of those who loved going to the shopping, touching the clothes. Shopping center is like a social event. I think that you guys don't agree with me, but I love some shopping. And I think that this just shows what was the impact of COVID this year. But I don't want us just to focus on that. I want us to think, where are we today? What have we learned? What are the trends and opportunities, especially moving forward, right? So with that being said, I'm just going to launch some polls here that I want you guys to have the opportunity to answer. And while you guys are doing that, I would like just to give the opportunity for you, gentlemen, to introduce yourselves. Maybe we can start by you, João, that you're based in Brazil. So you can start with Brazil, and then we move to a more regional and global presence here that we have with Mariano and Javier. So, João, please kick off.
Very good. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, everybody. I'm very happy and excited to talk to all of you. So introducing a little bit about our company here, B2W is actually a company that is 100% focused on Brazil. So we just have online operation here in Brazil. Here we have 4 main websites. So the biggest one that probably some of you have already heard about is Americanas.com. Americanas is a very, very important brand here in Brazil. We have more than 1,700 physical stores spread all over the 26 states in Brazil. So this is a brand that inspires a lot of confidence in consumers, which we believe is very important for online business. And so currently we have, just to give an idea, about 25% market share and in online business. We do have, for example, a local marketplace that I could share a number with you of more than 70,000 Brazilian merchants. So this is our national business, and I'm responsible for our cross-border business, which is starting since last year. And we are very excited to getting more in touch with you guys, and also very thankful for talking to you here also for Payoneer. Thank you.
You, Mariano, you want to share your thoughts? Introduce yourself first.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mariano Miguez. I am a global selling manager at Mercado Libre. Just for you that you're not that familiar with our company, we are the biggest e-commerce and fintech company in Latin America. We are present in 18 countries all across the region, where our main operations comes from Brazil, Argentina, and Mexico. We have a full ecosystem in place, not only the marketplace, but also, as I said, fintech solutions, logistics solutions, advertising solutions, credit solutions. So pretty much all surrounding ecosystem to allow both of our merchants and buyers to thrive in the e-commerce industry. We are a 20-year-old company, and since I would say 4 or 5 years ago, we started with the cross-border business, and really excited to be here with you guys and discussing with these amazing people on the LATAM panel today.
And you, Javier, tell us a little bit about you. What have you been up to with eBay?
Sure. Thank you, Christina, and thank you all of the people who have joined this session. I hope we have a great session, and hopefully we can discuss a lot of what's going on in Latin America. As Christina mentioned, I'm Javier Aguirre. I am the Business Development Senior Manager for Latin America, and I work at eBay. And for those of you who are not so familiar with our company, we're a global marketplace that connects millions of sellers and buyers worldwide. Our marketplace has been around for 25 years now and brings both local and cross-border opportunities. So we are basically focused on building a fair and inclusive platform. eBay is a pure marketplace, which means that all the inventory sold on our platform is brought by our sellers. Therefore, we're very committed to building the best tools to make our sellers successful. Thank you.
Nice. So let me build up a little bit on what you're saying, Javier, around and start by the trends in Latin America. Maybe I'll start by João, because João, you're based in Brazil. So let's start by Brazil, that we know is the largest market in Latin America. And then I'll go back to one of your thoughts, Javier, a little bit further. Share with me a little bit about the trends for the region. Maybe in your case, we'll speak about Brazil, then we can expand and get Mariano's and Javier's perspective and move forward from there.
Okay, thank you. So when we talk about trends after COVID here, mainly in Brazil, I'd like to talk a little bit more about three main topics that we have seen so far. So the first one would be how online business grew a lot and very intensive, with a high intensity here in Brazil. For example, a number that would translate this to everyone would be that e-commerce in the beginning of March would represent about 5% of all the retail sales in Brazil. So we still have a big road to go, like comparing to the US and to China, for example, which has China has maybe 20% and the US have about 12%. So we here in Brazil began with 5%, as I said before, COVID times, and now we have about 12 to 10% of the whole retail sales running online here in our country, which this number represents for us a great trend that everyone in Brazil, since many people need to stay at home, definitely. So this kind of number shows us a very important trend. So this is the first thing that we saw a very big growth in the retail sales online. The second one would be a big challenge for us that work with cross-border. I'm sure that it's faster delivering, right? So all consumers and in Mercado Libre and eBay, I'm sure that you guys also saw that, because many consumers needed to buy what they were used to buy in physical stores and get the item instantly. They need to buy it online. So we had a very big effort to improving our logistics here. For example, currently B2W already delivers 30% of everything that we sell in Brazil in the same day, so 24 hours. And this is for a national business, but this also is a big challenge for us in cross-border. So in the last month, like a couple months, we started also with our delivery service for cross-border merchants, which will allow merchants to ship products through us and deliver to consumers up to 20 running days here in Brazil. So this is very nice. This is very important for us. And this kind of a trend of faster delivering would be the second topic. And the third one is regarding more category and strategy of assortment. We saw also a big change. So before we had mainly electronics and home device, those kind of categories were much higher, much bigger than, for example, health products or sports products or home office products, right? So also food. So we saw a big change in behavior of consumers in Brazil. Many people started to look for different products. Our ranking of the most searched words, for example, had a big movement, a big change in those times. So these three things, I think there are trends that came to stay and that we all need to adapt to it.
Before I move to Marianne, let me make a comment. Listening to the figures you've mentioned around the Brazil growth from 5% now to double digits, and we believe that will continue, right? Which is a big trend. I was recently I read a research around the 10 weeks, 10 years and 10 weeks around Brazil. So the share that Brazil had in 10 years, around the 5 to 7%, one digit, in 10 weeks became 12%, as you said, around the 10 to 12%, two digits. So that for me was very impressive. 10 years and 10 weeks. We saw the same behavior happen in the US, but if you compare the regions, I think that for just Brazil, that was highly impressive. So just to put into perspective what you were saying, that for me was really mind-blowing. Yeah. So Mariano, tell us a little bit about what's going on in your key markets. What have you seen in terms of trends and opportunities and also challenges, right? Especially with within this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so building upon on what Joao was mentioning, we saw exactly the same things. Not only we saw a huge uplift in the number of new merchants because businesses were forced to close their physical stores and were forced to accelerate their digital transformation. So the ones that didn't have any experience in e-commerce, they were forced to learn fast because the consumers migrated to the e-commerce platforms. And as opposed to the new merchants, we also saw an enormous amount of new buyers coming to our platforms. So in the first few weeks of the COVID crisis, we saw like 5 million new buyers coming to the platform and starting purchasing online. That number is huge. And it's here to stay because these are trends and are users that were probably not even familiar with the marketplaces or online businesses. And they tried the experience and they were able to get their products from their home without exposing to the risks of being outside, and with really efficient deliveries all across the product categories. So mainly the main shift in behavior came from there. And then obviously the fact that Joao was mentioning and you strengthened related to internet penetration. In the first weeks of the crisis, we saw triple-digit growth in all of our markets. So that's amazing. I mean, if you consider that our internet penetration is far from saturated, the opportunity is huge for both local sellers and international sellers trying to benefit from these new trends in a region that has like over 600 million people. So, I mean, the size of the opportunity is huge.
What about you, Javier? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a trend that we have all seen, and I mean, just thinking about globally, I think, Cristina, you mentioned that there were around 60 or 30 million new buyers in Latin America. I don't remember the exact amount. But what we're seeing here that is happening all over the world is that since there's an increased acceleration of growth, we're expecting that this year we might see, according to eMarketer, a number of buyers that was expected to reach this number by 2024. So we're getting the 4 years of new buyers, maybe in just 1 year. So I'm sure that is happening in Latin America as well. And of course, I mean, Joao mentioned some of the categories that have shifted from, everyday things that we bought, electronics, to different categories that include maybe things like furniture, home office accessories, board games, video games, inflatable pools, bread machines. So all these inventories.
Gym clothes, so you think you're still keeping yourself healthy. It's just a psychological effect.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Continue to going to the gym at home, doing some exercise at home.
yeah. And most importantly, Christina, we have also seen one important trend, that is the new segments going into the digital world, which could be like older adults are also going and shopping
Yes.
online. Okay, so this is a totally new segment that is leveraging this new opportunity to shop online, not expose themselves by going outside. And on the other hand, this crisis has also brought some businesses online. And just to build upon what Mariano just said, is that just in Mexico, for example, the amount of small businesses that are currently selling online is 6 out of 10. So that's a 90% increase year on year. And we're expecting also cross-border trade to grow from 2020 to 2023 on a 25% year on year each one of these years. So also to be able to do cross-border is very important, because it will help you not being subjected to just one market.
You touch a point that made me think. You mentioned in the beginning, in the inventories with small, medium business, right, with the sellers, small sellers. And now speaking about this in how we are boosting the infrastructure, how we're seeing the growth, how we're seeing sellers getting used and acquainted to this new way of doing business. Javier, let me ask you, as a global player, how do you see this shift from offline to online? Because there's also a way of keeping the business going during this crisis. Was a lot of these sellers, right, learning, as Mariano said, to how to move to the online business, and also as a way of surviving to the new reality. And now they're seeing that this is a sustainable business moving forward. What will be the main challenge, and what should they consider when doing this shift from offline to online?
Well, of course, moments of crisis also bring opportunities. So there's probably these large companies that have a lot of resources to reinvent themselves so that they can survive these obstacles. But there's also these small and medium-sized companies that might find more difficulties than the large ones to remain active in the market. So like Mariano said, just businesses that did not have an online version, an online presence, have to adapt quickly to this form of consumption, maybe to reach even new audiences. And there could be challenges in managing this new channel. Some of the sellers might lack digital catalog, for example, inexperience using marketplaces, maybe also taking care of the customer service in an online channel. And obviously, logistics and customs might be a different challenge. However, I think SMBs have found in online exporting an alternative to maintaining and increase their sales during this pandemic, especially when currencies like in Latin America have been weakening against the dollar. And for example, on eBay, to onboard new Latin American businesses and training them is a priority for us, which is reflected in the large community of sellers that we currently have that do cross-border. We have seen double-digit growth this year in all of the Latin American countries, and we now have more than 40,000 sellers doing cross-border across the region.
And is there any type of challenge that you believe they still haven't overcome, or that was back? Or you think that now we're all on the stage that you can keep seeing this growth as a sustainable one?
I think when things go back to normal, they will keep the digital channel as a good sales alternative. I think they will continue doing it, although I think the vast majority of the sales will move back to the physical channel.
But you think there will be a mix between the physical channels, retail, but also
Definitely.
Now a larger audience of those who are going to keep themselves in the online business, even become like a mature market for them moving forward, right? If I'm understanding correctly.
Definitely. Most of the companies, no matter the size, will have to have a very robust omni-channel strategy to compete in the new normal sales ecosystem.
Mariana and João, you agree with that? You see the same in your key markets, and João, you see the same in Brazil? You think it's different than the global perspective that Javier shared with us?
Yeah. Go on, Mariano. Can go on.
Yeah, I mean, in my case, I definitely see the same challenges. But I would say that most of the new sellers or sellers that are new in the online business, they find it a little difficult at the beginning to handle the customer support. Because if you have a physical store, then you have working hours and you open at, 8 a.m. in the morning and you close at 8 p.m. at night, and that's it. Your online store is 24/7, always live, and your customers will ask questions all day long. So it's really important for new sellers to try to adapt their structure to be able to cope with this influx of interested customers coming again 24/7. So I would say that customer support is one of the main challenges. And then if you consider international sellers that may be, in the other side of the world with a time difference and in some cases 11-hour difference, for instance, between China and Latin America, it's really important for them to focus on that and try to adapt their structures to the operating hours in Latin America, not necessarily in their native countries. And then obviously the logistics part of the business, which is key for any international operation, it's obviously a challenge. And in that sense, we have been working really hard in developing and putting in place the infrastructure and the partners to cope with that hurdles and make it as simple as possible for international sellers to, gain advantage of the opportunity that we have in Latin America.
Do you agree, João?
Yes. For us, it's very interesting to see that marketplaces such as our three here companies can offer different types of companies special opportunity to access consumers, for example, for cross-border business here in Brazil, not needing to start a business in Brazil, open an account here, or
that's a good point.
hire people here in Brazil. So we know that there are a lot of language challenge, time difference, and legislation, many stuff. So we do believe that working with marketplace, for example, is a big opportunity for mainly small and medium business to leverage with our assets, with our experience, with our service. So for example, at B2W, we help merchants, as I said, in delivery, and we also help them in integration and product listing, which is very important to start faster and easier at our business. And also, for example, advertisement and all other data that we share. But and mainly for small and medium, we understand that in this time of crisis and in these difficult times, working with us, for example, it's interesting because the business don't need to invest money before or spend money before starting the operation. Like normally you just pay a commission fee and start working with us. We just give all the steps, help really step by step. And we believe this kind of business is very important for us and for all the SMBs. So we do believe this is very long term for every one of us.
Nice. I'm glad to hear. I like what you said, and I want to explore a little bit further around the importance of having a smooth seller onboarding experience. But before that, you were saying you're building up around the opportunities we see for Brazil in the Brazilian market. Can you develop a little bit more your thoughts on the benefits that you see for those who want to invest in LATAM? And I think that's important here is for us to explore what differs Latin America from other markets, right? Why would these sellers choose Latin America? We have tackled some of the benefits like good product listing, knowing how to handle the seller's inventory, understanding the challenge around logistics. But I wanted to hear your thoughts. Maybe I'll start by you, Juan, and also wanted to get Mariano's views from a regional perspective. So maybe we do let's compare just Brazil with more the rest of Latin America.
Okay, good. Thank you. Definitely for all the merchants that are listening to us, that are in China, in the US, Europe, other places, having more options or having more channels and more options to sell, it's very important. So for example, to start business with us here in Latin America, in Brazil, we do believe is a very interesting step. Not just selling, for example, to the US or to other countries. So when we talk about Latin America, here Brazil represents about 40% the GDP of the whole region. So it's the major economy, the major population also, with more than 200 million people here. And as I said, with our penetration of online business, about 10 to 12%. So the momentum here, the moments right now in Brazil is very interesting for starting business online. Normally with marketplace that really believe, such as B2W, that deeply believe the consumers in Brazil. So, for example, when we talk about cross-border business, cross-border between the last 2 years, we had a compound annual growth of about 60%. So this is very interesting. Last year, we had more or less $4 billion of total revenue of cross-border. And for everyone that wants to work with Brazil, it's very important to understand some specifics. For example, I think there's a topic that you mentioned further here, Christina, is about payments. So payments, the consumers in Brazil have a different experience. So normally they like to pay installments, which means that the consumer can use their credit card to split the payments monthly. So they can, for example, buy, if they want to buy something that costs 1,000 reais, but they don't have the 1,000 reais that month, they can pay Americans, for example, up to 10 times. So they can split this payment in their credit card directly. And the merchant will receive everything in just one time in advance, and the consumers will have this convenience of splitting the payment. So this is something that is very particular from Brazil, and it's very important to offer consumers. So if you don't offer, for example, installments, working here in commerce, you're not really really helping consumers here. So we have this kind of particular stuff. For example, customer service, as Mariano mentioned, this is also a very big challenge, because we have different legislation, different expectations of consumers, the language, and we have many steps that we believe that we can work together and help merchants starting this business here in Brazil.
Yeah, definitely. If I have to think about something I understand to be unique for our region and as a benefit, is the fact that commonly people are allowed to pay in installments. A lot of people think that the Latinos, right, don't have the disposable income, but they do. And if they don't, the e-commerce is offering them, and without the interest rate. It's not like we are offering installments. So it's a very attractive way of for us consuming, including myself, to buy online and retail, right? So that's definitely one of the top key benefits on my views. I do believe, Mariano, that installments, and it's not just Brazil, right? Other markets in Latin America do the same, right? I remember there was, for many years, it was kind of commonly in Brazil, but then more and more I've been seeing that became like a common payment method in the rest of the region, correct?
It's pretty common in all the Latin American economies, especially if you consider the inflation rates in all the main countries at least. So it's a good way for consumers to protecting their salaries against the hiking prices. But back to your question, I would say that what makes Latin America different from other regions, it's, in my opinion, it's the size of the pie. If you consider that we are a region of over 600 million people, and internet penetration rates are, around 10%, and it's really low, but that means that we have still 90% to grow. 70%, 80% if you compare with other regions of the world. So the pie is huge, and there's an extra fact there that I think it makes our region really interesting, especially for international sellers, is that the local seller matrix is composed mainly of local importers, not necessarily brand owners or factory owners that own their own brands and their pricing. So that makes a lot of room for international sellers who own their pricing strategy, who own their products, own their branding, to ship their products into our region, because demand is far from saturated. Latin American consumers are used to a limited supply and with rather expensive prices. So any international seller that again owns the pricing of their channels, they can make a huge difference and benefit from enormous volumes of again unsaturated demand. So I would say that that's the main difference between Latin America and the other regions. It's the stage of the development that we see in the e-commerce business and the retail in general, as opposed to, Southeast Asia, US, or Europe.
Mm-hmm. May I move, Javier? You mentioned something that caught my attention around the, you mentioned cross-border trade, you meant the exports, right? That's getting a lot of attention. That made me think around Latin American sellers. I believe that eBay brings a huge experience. And so if you can build on the role that eBay plays in supporting these sellers in such a relevant space is getting a lot of attention nowadays.
Of course, Christina. Yeah, for Latin American sellers in particular, the cross-border trade has been offering real tangible benefits, like, for example, the possibility of making profits in a hard currency like US dollar, which really helps you stabilize at least part of your sales, and also not being subject to the local economic or even political situations in a region which are unstable could also be a benefit for these sellers. And like regarding to more tangible benefits regarding what happens to small and medium businesses specifically when they do cross-border, we have seen studies that show that they could even increase their sales by 55%, which of course lets them add on their productivity. And when you mix these two things together, you can also pay your employees higher wages. And we have seen that we can get up to 42% better wages, which for small and medium businesses is really important because they can keep the turnover of the staff in a lower range, and you can compete with with bigger companies, that can offer or can get your talent to their company. And finally, you can see that you can grow twice as much as the local market normally. Like from the beginning, eBay has been an early enabler of cross-border trade. And actually, it's one of the things that I think differentiates us in terms of value and experience that we offer to our sellers. Thinking about the possibilities of the sellers, like not only for Latin American, but for sellers all over the world. We have 182 million buyers in 190 markets.
Nice. Let me move back to seller online experience. We working at Payoneer, I see a lot when you're working on bringing the right sellers to the right marketplaces, that how important is, in addition to having the right sellers onboarding, right, and having the right fit, the whole onboarding experience, how relevant that is for the seller to make sure, and back to João's point around, we help them, and you also mentioned, Javier, we help them since the beginning, like almost like a hand holding, right? Which is an important, I think also one of the benefits that we have is the culture that thinks that you take care of your customer, in this case, the seller from the beginning, right? That's very typical cultural behavior from Latinos, right? Who would like to share with me a little bit around the main criteria you have in each marketplace? How do you define what will be this hand holding? How do you help your sellers make sure they have a smooth experience, that they can just keep onboarding and expanding their presence in each one of those marketplaces? Maybe, João, you share your thoughts because you did mention around the how you guys do that at B2W.
Yeah, okay, I can start here about this topic. So we do have an onboarding system, onboarding steps that we believe are very important for all merchants, mainly merchants, cross-border merchants that are not quite used to our country here. So, for example, we start with, I believe that normally all the marketplaces work with this, but like with the first step of documentation and all the information about the company. So we do need this to have the company here registered, all the information about account, for example. So as I said previously, we don't need merchants to have any kind of business here in Brazil. We can pay them, as I said, in their Payoneer account or bank account in their countries. So we do need them to provide this kind of information in the beginning. After that, it's very important to move to product listing. So normally we like here at B2W to work with API integration. We believe this is the best way to have all the products connected to the marketplace, all synchronized. So any change that you need to do on stock and price, if you are integrated, it's online. It's like just seconds of difference. Your information will be available for consumers in Brazil. So as I said, first step, documentation, then API integration. And the third one would be to define a delivery system, delivery option. So also, as I said, we offer all the merchants here a solution that, with our experience, is the best one. So the delivery strategy is very important. So after those steps, I think that the fourth one, the last one, would be to set the strategies to start selling, to start looking for interesting results. And for that, we also help merchants, can be a small and medium or even a big company. We provide a lot of information, a lot of data. So data on which products are being being looked for or being searched, price, and all the information that all the retailers need, all the merchants need to set the main, the strategies.
Do you guys do the similar ways, or does it differ at eBay and Mercado Libre? Who wants to go first?
It's pretty similar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for us, it's pretty similar. We do have a pretty, complete or pretty comprehensive account management team that, work hand by hand with all the new sellers on their onboarding process from the beginning to the end. And they assist in, obviously, the account creation, but most importantly, in their strategy based on their product, their catalog, their pricing, and competitive analysis versus local supply, and how each and every new seller can position their listings and their value proposition in these new markets. We don't require at all the new sellers to be familiar with our platform, with our regions, and with our customers. We provide the insights to our new sellers so that from day one, they have all the necessary tools and information they need to thrive in our marketplaces. So for us, it's really important, the account management team, that they play a fundamental role in their onboarding process of new sellers and the growth of our business.
Guys, before we move to the next question, would you guys allow me just to pop some questions that we're receiving here? We're receiving a number of questions here, so I just want to make sure that we have time to cover them all. And then, Javier, I go back to you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I'll go back to your thoughts. First here we have Sheldon. He's asking us, how can a seller from Suriname, which is not part of Latin America, penetrate our market, especially Brazil? So I think, João, you can help us on that one. Also, Suriname doesn't have a lot of connections to LATAM, but more into the CARICOM. I think this is the Central American countries. Is it CARICOM, I think, CAPICOM? And the Netherlands. What can a company like B2W and eBay, LATAM do for a seller located in Suriname? I don't know if you guys have some thoughts, how you guys help sellers that are not located in our region directly.
Okay, nice. Yeah, for us it would be a pleasure to have a merchant from Suriname. We still don't have any, so that would be special. Suriname, it's actually kind of close to Brazil, but it's up there in the north. I think that I would prefer to say that we don't have any restriction on countries. So it can be from Suriname or other country, or Argentina, as our friend Mariano here is, or Mexico, where Javier is. But we offer possibility to access Brazil either way or where you are. So I'd like to thank for the question and say that if you'd like to talk to us a little bit more further, I'll be interested in understanding more your situation.
Anything on eBay LATAM that you guys
Sure.
do as well for Suriname?
Well, yeah, Sheldon, I mean, maybe LATAM, you're only thinking about like the continental LATAM or Spanish and Portuguese speaking countries, but actually I oversee the Caribbean and territories like Suriname. So Suriname is actually part of the portfolio that I manage. So if you want, we can actually, you can go to, and for all of those who are interested, I was going to talk a little bit more about it with the question that we were addressing. But we have a page called export.ebay.com. And there we have a banner for those sellers that are interested in looking for opportunities, where you can leave us your information, and then we can contact you and see if you are fit to go into the hand-holding process that we have also on eBay.
So let me go back. Sorry for interrupting you guys. I thought this Sheldon brought a very interesting question. Let me go back to you, Javier, and speak about the benefits you see, adding to anything you've heard from João and Mariano, if anything you want to add on the benefits we see for the region.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
actually, the benefits and also the experience of the onboard experience, right?
Right.
The benefits you told me before, yeah.
Yeah, regarding the onboarding experience, as I mentioned, I mean, we have an ongoing like search of new sellers, of course, because what brings value to the whole eBay ecosystem is the variety of the inventory we have. So, speaking of that, we are in constant search of detecting, training, and supporting our sellers, and we do it by the page which I just mentioned, which is export.ebay.com. There you can apply for getting support from our team, which will, in case you are suit for the program, you will be able to get into we have a 6-step program that is almost completed in around 2 months. And like, for example, we launched specifically with the pandemic issue, we launched a a media campaign that was called My Business 24/7 on eBay. And it was launched in Brazil,
Nice.
Argentina, Puerto Rico, Chile, and Mexico. And we had almost 800 small businesses applying for the program. And up to date, more than 40% of those businesses have been accepted into the program. Part of what we do there is also so that the businesses don't have to pay upfront anything. We give them a 3-month free store, and obviously the personalized support that will guide them and get them up to speed in a few months, so that they can really start selling and understanding all the implications that are into selling on eBay.
Interesting. So what caught my attention and when we're speaking, and that moved my thoughts back to the benefits, was thank you, Paolo, for your question. It's also an interesting one around the challenge of being the first movers, right? We understand, and I do agree as well, that for our region is a less saturated market. If you place yourself as a first mover, it brings you tons of opportunity. Even back to Mariano's point around the 90% that we still have to conquer in this market, right? And we know how the consumers in Latin America are extremely savvy for new products and diversity of products. What are the challenges? So we know that's an advantage, but what will be the challenge of being the first mover? That's Paola's question. I don't know who wants to take the lead on this one.
Yeah, maybe I can start. So about that one, definitely when you are first mover, you build a competitive advantage that you can help in the future. But in the beginning, like for example, for us that we started with cross-border business last year, as I said, in the beginning of last year. So we are almost finishing the second year. We need, for example, merchants to help us, giving, for example, feedback about systems, about logistics, about our solutions. So I think that being a first mover represents and will present a long-term advantage, but for sure, in the beginning, you will need a little bit more commitment or a little bit more understanding, a little bit more maybe creativity to help us and help the consumer and and solve the problems. When you are a first mover, you face more problems. So
but what would be the understanding, the creativity? You mean like understanding the culture, the business, having to kind of guide without having any comparison? That's what you mean?
More like facing the problems that every first mover will face it, and then for sure, analyzing the situation and solving it. So I think that this is a side of the first mover. Maybe Mariano could help me explain a little bit more.
Yeah, in our case, I don't really see any problems on being the first mover because, again, our global selling program or cross-border program is already at least 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old. So we were able over all these years to collect all the feedback from the first movers originally and enhance all of our processes and our platform to address all the challenges that we faced in the initial stages of our program. And we are pretty confident now on the stage of our proposal, our platform, our processes, that it's much easier than it was before. So to be completely honest, I don't see that as an issue right now. It was an issue a couple of years ago, but I don't see it as an issue right now.
And based on what João said as well, having to understand and knowing how to solve issues and, like being the leader, it could be something that the first mover will even be expected to feel comfortable in doing, right? So I think you guys are driving to the same direction, that should no longer be as complicated as in the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Cristina, if I can add a little, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Please, Javier, you think you see it differently?
Yeah, I think the great advantage that digital commerce brings to the table is that when you think about maybe challenges like way before we had the digital or online opportunity, you might have to make a lot of investment into a market to test it. And now with the online channel, you can test the products, and maybe just after you have tested some of your inventory and see what is trending, then you can move a little bit further and maybe do a freight forwarding solution, and then have inventory in the markets where you want to exploit. Yeah.
That's a good point, Javier. That's a very good point. It brings me to the next question that Paola also wrote for us. I will then, guys, park on these questions because I want to make sure we have time to have some closing remarks. But I don't want to miss this one, that in regards to consumer behavior, that we're saying that it changed the type of products that everyone's buying. I was surprised you guys didn't mention PJs, because I read once that at least here in Brazil, the most bought product was PJs, and I can relate to that. I think the second one must have been the sofa, and then the gym clothes for psychology reasons that I've mentioned. But we definitely saw this shift. And what are the most popular categories you guys see? What were the categories a seller should prioritize when selling in your marketplaces? Apart from PJs and the ones we've mentioned, right?
On our side, we saw since the beginning of the COVID crisis, we saw a huge uplift in health categories. Everything related to health was a boom, especially at the beginning. Yes. It still is, but I mean, it slowed down a little bit. But at the beginning, it was really, really, they were really hot products there. Then sports and fitness, people tended to, to start exercising at home. So they were buying a lot of gadgets and, fitness accessories to be able to, again, exercise at home as opposed to running outside or going to the gym. And then home and garden, there was a huge trend in the consumers that had, a lot of time at home, and they started renovating decorations and improving their home. So I would say those were the three main categories, and entertainment, gaming and computing. I would say those were the five main categories that really boomed at the beginning, especially of the COVID crisis.
Any different categories you've guys seen, or just the same?
Yeah, probably about the same. But we believe that the best strategy would be to mix like what we had before of behavior and what we have right now. As Mariano said, we had a very big shift on category behavior in March, April, May, June, and then it had like slowed down a little bit on last months, but it didn't go back to the level that was before the pandemic. So what we see that it's probably the best strategy is not focus 100% on new categories or new pandemic categories, neither this or the old categories. Probably
maybe a new shift, maybe a new balance.
Probably a new shift, a new portfolio management. That would be the best option in our opinion.
So let's, for the sake of time, and I think we're getting a lot of questions, and but I'll let us afterwards discuss them separately, privately with each one of you. Just let's get our closing thoughts. I'm going to add on what you said, João, about what we're going to see moving beyond. So I want to hear your thoughts around what are we seeing moving forward. Do we believe that what we're seeing this year, these peak numbers, everyone having a fantastic growth in e-commerce, will that be the trend? I think that based on what you're saying, I would start by saying we'll definitely see a new balance. And what else moving forward? What's ahead of us?
Good. Okay. So I'd like to talk about four main topics. Many of them we have already mentioned here. So first of all, the delivery time, so the shipping experience, that might be a challenge that we all must have a big effort in overcome. So we dream here at B2W when like consumers can buy products from China and receive them as fast as they receive them when they buy here in Brazil. So this is a future trend and a big challenge. The second one is more related to, and it's also a big opportunity, it's more related to assortment, so products. Crossborder has a special opportunity of offering consumers new brands, different products that the consumer, mainly here in Brazil and many other countries, they just cannot find that on retail sales. It's like impossible. So we see this as a huge opportunity of looking for new brands, different products, competitive price. So this is the second topic. The third one would be big events. So we have here in Brazil a culture of, and also in China and other countries, culture of big retail, big sales events. So for example, Singles Day, 11/11 next month, like less than 1 month right now. This is an event that we invested a lot in Brazil, in B2W. So last year we had...
I will be buying, so you'll wait for me.
Thank you again.
I will be one of the consumers.
Nice. So 11/11 and Black Friday, these two huge opportunities of selling next month. Normally, in Black Friday, we sell in 1 day equivalent to what we sell in 1 month. So we're seeing also this behavior in 11/11. So this third topic would be about events, special events, that all the merchants, that would be a pleasure for us if they could join in this challenge. And the fourth topic would be that we are looking really for recruiting good merchants with good products that are committed to give consumers a good experience. We need to change the consumer's experience of cross-border here in Brazil.
So you seem very optimistic that we're still going to see good growing rates and the marketplace model came to stay, and that's the business model that will remain, right? Based on your topics, I can understand that's how you're seeing the moving beyond, right? So that's good. That's good to hear. Javier, what about you from a more global perspective? You feel the same? You're optimistic about what's coming ahead and and leveraging all the lessons learned that we discussed here and all the new normal, as we're saying, the benefits of our new normal?
Yes, Christina. I mean, I think we need to remind ourselves that the new retail world is not just going to be online, but it's going to be global. So, I mean, we're not there yet, but I think that in time, we will see that all goods, supply, demand will move seamlessly across borders. And I mean, in the meantime, I think a challenge for Latin American sellers, at least, is that besides getting the benefits of going globally, there's a challenge there to become even more professional in their line of business, because it's a total different world to sell physically that online, that require a new set of skills that will make you stand out from the rest of the sellers. And I mean, even after the current situation we're living with the pandemic, the digital channel will remain important and very helpful to face the crisis afterwards.
Nice. Mariana, I guess you think the same, right? With Mercado Libre having such a successful year, I don't think you're seeing any chance of that not continue to be the case, right?
Yeah, we are really optimistic on what lies beyond. I think the trends are here to stay, both consumer trends and new merchants joining the digital world, both domestically and internationally. And again, for me, the biggest opportunity is that the Latin American demand is far from saturated, and international supply can totally complement the local supply. So there's room for everybody.
Nice.
And if you consider again that the internet penetration rates are growing exponentially, then the pie will grow and grow every year. So yes, we are really optimistic on what lies beyond.
Guys, thank you so much. We are running out of time. This was a very interesting discussion. We wrap up now with thank you with your key takeaways, Mariana. They were a very good summary of what we discussed. Thank you so much. Thank you, the audience. Thank you for you guys. You guys are doing an amazing job. Thank you to your brands and the business you're growing. I'm sure we're going to have a booming Latin America e-commerce for next year and moving forward. Thank you so much. Hope to speak to everyone soon. Ciao.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.